Welcome back to the Hawkeye Garage. I'm Joe. We've got the 4th gen back in the garage. We are continue to work on the front end. Sorry, this is not like update, walk you through how the front end is doing, because I'm still trying to get it dialed in like 110% because it was such a DIY thing with the 5100s and spacers, spoiler alert, and the 3rd gen Tacoma Spring. So I'm trying to get that all dialed in 100% so that I can give you very, very good information for you guys to do it on your own if you want, and there will be no questions. So we are continuing to do some more things by adding these little aluminum front sway bar relocation brackets. It's going to move the sway bar down and forward to hopefully correct the geometry of this front sway bar. All very exciting, I know, so stay tuned. Seriously though, this may or may not be a necessity. I don't really know. A lot of guys are not running any sway bars on these. I've said many times before, I'm not running a rear sway bar, nor have I been. It's like the teeny tiniest, smallest sway bar, and it's hollow, so it really did nothing. I think it rides better without it, especially since it's a solid rear axle anyway. My Explorer, I didn't run a rear sway bar, and that was independent rear suspension. The front sway bar on the Explorer, I made my own custom extended end link, so that kind of created better OE geometry. The Grand Cherokee, I ran no sway bar in the back on that for a while. I actually upgraded to a heavier duty sway bar with longer links to, you know, counter effect the lift, because it rode terribly without a rear sway bar in my opinion, and the front sway bar has bar eliminators to make it longer. Anyway, I drove this with no front sway bar for about a week while I was dialing in the front suspension before I got the alignment. I did not like it. I thought it was, no, my alignment wasn't perfect at the time, but it was very close. I could even show you the spec sheet from when I got it done. I could tell it didn't have a front sway bar, and the fact that Mrs. HSW dailies this, we drive it on the highway, we tow with it. I wanted to get the front sway bar on, and I still want to maintain as much wheel travel when we're off-road as possible. Enter the relocation brackets. So that should help with that geometry, give us as much wheel travel as we can, while still having a sway bar and having a good, safe ride. So let's take a closer look at these, because there's a couple things I want to tell you about them. These are just $20 ones off of eBay. There's a billion different sellers of these in powder coated, bare. They make some out of polyurethane. These are aluminum. They came bare. I just hit them with a little Rust-Oleum to help with a little surface corrosion. As far as I can tell, they're all exactly the same. Icon makes a set of these that are like $40, and I'm fairly certain they're exactly the same as well. We got 2 countersunk holes for the factory mounts or factory bolts. We'll touch on that quickly, and then 2 more holes which mount the sway bar further forward. So we're mounting the sway bar down more and further forward. Some of the reviews that I read on these on eBay and on Amazon, like I said, they're all the same as far as I can tell. There are problems with the hardware that comes with them and the bolt holes. So first off, what I did was checked all my bolts. Sure enough, one of the bolts was completely wrong, didn't fit the chassis or these, and it was the wrong length, so threw those away. Tested the bolts that go in the new threaded holes, and of course they weren't tapped super great, so I went ahead and ran those in by hand with a ratchet beforehand. Kind of cleared those up, and I decided to go ahead and use the original Toyota bolts to mount these to the chassis. There's still enough room for them to countersink in that hole and get a socket on it, so I decided to do that. Of course, you're going to want to use some never sees, especially these chassis bolts are going to get rusty, and we've got zinc plated grade 8 bolts going into aluminum, so the never seize is really going to help with the two metals going together. And of course some rubber gloves if you don't want to end up looking like the Tin Man. I've already done one side and we had a little issue with that. So let's drop the camera down, we'll bolt the other side up start to finish, and I'll show you what my little issue was. So my issue, if you will, and it's going to be hard for me to get the camera in here, I'll do my best. You'll see I've got back to my, my DIY homemade skid plate that I've done such a good job bending it and getting as much clearance as possible. When I dropped the sway bar down and forward, it hit this. So I had to add a couple spacers up here to drop it down about a ½ inch, which shouldn't be a problem with the LFD one because the LFD one sat lower anyway. Also, speaking of the LFD skid, I found out some more information on that. I'm not completely crazy on the build of that and the specs of that. More on that in another video later. Alright, there's the bracket in place. Pretty simple. I went ahead and zipped it into place with my little DeWalt cordless impact there, and then I torqued him down by hand afterwards. And now we can put the sway bar bushing and bracket back on. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and start this front bolt because the bracket for the sway bar bushing is slotted so that you can start both sides, the front ones, and then kind of pop it into place, and it'll stay there a little bit better while you cinch that down or start one of the rear bolts. And just like that, it's mounted back up. I just zipped them up there again a little bit with the impact, and then hand tightened them with a short 3/8 ratchet. I don't want to strip out that aluminum. Got my spacers in there on the skid plate, and I can't show you guys, there's not enough light down here, but it's only barely just touching. It's just the treads of the diamond tread that's touching. I may have to shim that out some more. I don't think it's gonna squeak or anything, but and I'm fairly certain that the LFD is spaced more than that. So I know somebody's gonna ask now, since I dropped the sway bar, am I gonna drop the diff? Am I gonna do a diff drop? There's my axle shaft. Here's the floor. I'll let you guys be the judge of that. The answer is no. No, I'm not going to be doing a diff drop. That angle on that CV is hardly any at all. It's barely off of being level with the ground. So we'll talk more about that and how much lift we've got going on here in another video. Well, that pretty much takes care of that. Thank you so much for watching. If you didn't see on my Instagram earlier in the week, you probably aren't following me on Instagram, which you should be. Link down below for that, and my Facebook as well. We hit 5,000 subscribers this week. Thank you so much. Very, very excited about that. I know it's not a huge number compared to a lot of the other automotive YouTube channels, but for where I thought this channel was gonna go when I first started it, it's a huge number for us, and continuing to grow constantly, every single day, emails and comments, questions coming through and interacting with you guys, and I love that. So if you have any questions, obviously comment section down below. Email me, hawkeyeskunkworks@gmail.com. I cannot wait to get this front end 100% dialed in and do a really good walk around driving video and tell you guys all about it, because I put quite a few miles on it already. I've already taken it back apart once, and but it's been fabulous, and it's just getting better and better the more I dial it in. So more on that very, very soon. Other than that, again, links down below, Instagram, Facebook. Subscribe to the channel. Let's go up to 6,000. Why don't we? Give the video a thumbs up for all the DIY goodness and Toyotas and all the 4x4 stuff. And click that little bell icon down below in the corner of the video. That will give you a notification every Sunday when I drop a new video, even though I do try to have it at noon Central Time, but not always the case. Anyway, thank you for watching. Take care. Goodbye.